right away, the devotees had realized that we don't have a Vyasa-san for Prabhupada. And Bahudak immediately, he knew I had some carpentry experience, so he immediately surrendered me to Dhanavir Prabhu, who was the temple president there, and said, Dharmatma, well, I wasn't Dharmatma then, I wasn't even initiated. Maybe I was, but he said, he'll do it, you know. So then the first question was, what's the Vyasa-san, you know? Because none of us had seen one. There wasn't one in Portland, and there wasn't one in Vancouver. But luckily, someone produced a picture of the, I believe, the LA one. So I had something to go on. But the catch was Prabhupada was going to be there in 2 days. So anyway, I started busying myself, and I was in a foreign city, so I didn't know what to do. It's not like, you know, there was Home Depots and Lowe's on every corner. So I finally got all the materials together, and I basically worked day and night until it got to the day that Prabhupada was arriving. So, and at that time, when Prabhupada was coming, all the devotees, they all left for the airport, and here myself and maybe 2 other devotees were left there. And I was feeling a little bit left out, and I was feeling, well, why, you know, why? You know, of course, I was naive and young. I didn't understand that I'm getting the opportunity to make this Vyasa-san for the Jagat Guru, you know, of the universe. And so I finished it. I was getting close to finishing it, and all of a sudden the devotees started yelling, "He's coming! He's coming! Hurry!" And there's, you know, devotees are scattering around, and then cars pulling up, and devotees running into the temple room, and it became crazy. And here I was in my dirty dhoti, and I was so frantic. I'm trying to get my tools off the Vyasa-san, and finally I got it done, and I'm looking at it, okay, it's all right, no tools or screwdrivers or anything sitting there. And then Prabhupada walks in. So then he offered dandavats to the deities, and then he got up and he looked around, he was smiling at the devotees, and then he started his walk back to the Vyasa-san. And he's walking, and then all of a sudden I got this cold chill down my back, and I began panicking. And the reason was that I had remembered that I forgot to secure the back of the Vyasa-san. I had just tacked in a couple of nails just to hold it, and I was going to put the bolts in later, but with the frantic pace, I forgot to do it. So I just, it was the most horrific feeling. I was just terrified that Prabhupada, I was thinking, all these things went through my mind. He's going to lean back and the whole thing's going to fall down. And anyway, he came and he did something really amazing. And I probably was the only one to see it, or maybe it didn't happen. You know, it was one of those things where he walked to the Vyasa-san. Instead of going up to the front, he kind of walked to the side and he looked at the back like this. And then he turned around, and then he came, and he had that same smile on his face, and then he walked to the front, and he walked up the 2 steps that I made, and he walks on, and he sits on the Vyasa-san. And I don't remember what the context of his class was, because the whole time I was just I was sweating, and I was totally freaking out. But as it was, he finished the lecture, and the devotees were ecstatic, and I was so relieved because Prabhupada never leaned back once. He sat the whole time and gave the class. He got down and he gave pranams to all the devotees and he left. So I was thinking that how fortunate I was that I had that service. And Krishna had actually, I felt that Krishna had saved me because Prabhupada never leaned back. You know? So I learned a lesson that any service I did for Srila Prabhupada, I should try to do it to the best of my ability. That was a lesson that I learned from that you know, I was doing it in haste, but I should always be thinking, you know, that I have to do this the best of my ability for Srila Prabhupada. And that's pretty much what I learned from that incident. So Prabhupada would give a nice lecture, and this one night, the Sankirtan Matajis were all invited to that darshan. Different people were invited at different times. So Prabhupada was lecturing, and then all of a sudden, one of the Matajis started coughing, you know, quite a bit. So Prabhupada stopped the lecture and looked at her and said, "What is wrong? You don't have sufficient clothing because I don't know if he didn't think, but it got cool that evening, and so he said, "You don't have sufficient clothing." And then he said, "Who is in charge?" So I was the Sankirtan leader, and I was, thankfully nobody pointed me out, or nobody said anything, and he went on with his class and finished his class and that. But I realized then the lesson that I had learned that, here's Srila Prabhupada, he's opening temples all over the world. He's responsible for so many devotees. He's our guru, but yet he was so concerned about just one of the devotees, and he had so much compassion and kindness for the devotees. So right after that happened, I made plans, and I discussed with Kirtanananda to get very nice clothing for all the Sankirtan devotees, nice vans, nice facility, made sure they went out with enough bread, food, and different things, really tried my best to look after them, and those material things, because Prabhupada had asked about, why is your warm clothes, that type of thing. So it was a real good lesson that we have to take care of the devotees so they could do their service, because they were sacrificing so much, leaving New Vrindavan for long periods of time and doing such difficult service. So I felt that the best we could look after them would please Srila Prabhupada.